Hey, Thomas from ZUGO Bike here. Today we're going to be talking about how to install your tire and seat the bead properly. First off, make sure the orientation of your tire is correct. On the sidewall you'll have an arrow. The front wheel, you can think, right, the rotor's on the left side. So I'll install the tire. One side of the bead first, okay? Set the rim on top. Work the bead over the rim. And I'm just going inside with my hand here to press them in. If it starts to get a little tight, you can pull the bead closer to the one side, and that'll take some of the tension off, okay? So I'm going to continue pushing the bead over until it slips onto the rim. So now
You're shooting a video of the tires.
Hey, Russ. All right, so we've got one side of the tire bead on the rim. You can see that here, okay? Next step is to take your tube. You're going to rotate the wheel until the valve hole is exposed, and you'll just pull the side of the tire over. So that way you can insert the valve stem, okay? You see it there. And then we'll just begin to tuck the tube into the open tire. I'm starting from the bottom. I'm just gently tucking it into the tire until the tube is now inside of the rim, okay? So here we want to start by pushing into the bead of the tire where the valve stem is, okay? So we'll start there and just slowly go around, push the bead down. You want to work both sides. You can switch off, so this way one side doesn't get pulled out, okay? So just continue doing that. And eventually, you should have both sides of the tire now installed on the rim. Okay, so now we need to inflate the tire. And we're going to do that a little bit at a time, so that way we can make sure that the bead seats properly and evenly all the way around the rim. We're going to use this little floor pump here. So just whatever pump you're using, connect it to your valve stem. Okay. We recommend 24 psi. Again, I'm going to do a little bit at a time. So we're going to do about 5-6 pounds here. Okay, I'm going to stop it there, remove the pump, and we'll just inspect. We want it to be low enough so that we can still push the tire in or out where we need to, right? So what we're looking for here is the bead. We want to make sure going all the way around the rim that it looks nice and even. This one's lining up really nicely, very easily, okay? Then you want to flip it over and check both sides, right? They don't need to be exactly the same on each side, but each respective side needs to be even all along the rim. Okay, so this one's pretty good. You can see. And if you see any spots where maybe it's sticking out a lot more, you just want to take your hands, now it's still loose enough, and you can push the tire in so that the bead is seating a little more in there, okay? So this one looks good. We're going to flip it back over, reconnect our pump, and continue inflating. Okay, the tire's starting to firm up a bit, so I want to stop again and just make sure that the bead is looking even all the way around. Part of our tire, the bead is not even. I need to let some air out of the tire, so I'm going to take an Allen wrench out of our toolkit here and use this to let out some of the air. I'm going to deflate the tire just a little bit. That way I can work with the tire and push the bead back into where I need it to go. This is a normal part of the process. Again, if you inflate it a little too much and the bead's not perfect, that's okay. Deflate it just enough so you see here it's more malleable. Now I can push it in so that it's seated just right. And again, just go around the tire and the rim, and where you see it sticking out a little too much, just push it in. Just give it a nice gentle push with your palms. Okay. And once it looks relatively even, reattach your pump. And re-inflate it. And you can watch the bead as you're inflating it, and if you start to see a portion of the bead coming out, stop the pump and then push the tire back in. If you need to, you can deflate some air. Okay, this side of the bead is a little uneven. The tire's pretty firm, but you should still be able to, maybe standing up, you can put a good amount of pressure on it to help it sit back down where it needs to go. So we've fully inflated the tire. The bead is seated evenly all the way around the rim on both sides, and we're ready to go. So in summary, you want to install the tire one bead at a time on the rim. While the second bead is still open, install your tube valve stem first. Then install the second bead, starting at the valve stem until it goes all the way around the rim. Then you want to inflate the tire slowly, around 5 to 6 psi at a time. As you inflate it, check the bead to make sure it's even all the way around. Stop the pump if you need to push in the bead where it may be sticking out until you have it nice and even on both sides. Then we recommend pumping it up to 24 psi. Reinstall your valve cap, install the wheel on the bike, and go for a ride.